Hello, happiest of folks days to y'all. I hope you guys are having just an absolutely amazing day today. Today, one of the best you've ever had. If not, it will be at least top 10 by the end of the day. Alrighty, and it just goes forward from here. Alright, so today I'm reviewing a short story. It was published in 1910, which puts it in the era. It's called The Ghost of Mohammed Din. For you folks, it was published in short stories, written and such. It was written by Clark Ashton Smith. For you folks, now Clark Ashton Smith was a big name in his era. Has faded a little bit from time, unfortunately, although he should be more well known and that sort of thing. He actually lived in the pulp-era, so he was very, very young when he was writing this, and that sort of thing. Actually was known for his poetry early on, and that sort of thing. Actually published poems and stuff very young in his life. And he was considered in the Bay Area and was considered one of the great poets left in American, and that sort of thing. So he's definitely loved them. And then he started turning to more fantasy or sometimes science fiction or horror too, and that sort of thing. He wrote some stuff in the Cthulhu Mythos. He created Cthulhu and that sort of a thing, but his stuff tended to be more of sword and sorcery style stuff. He was best friends with Clark Ashton Smith. He is with Robert E. Howard, who created Conan, and was popular for his sword and sorcery stuff, and then also with H.P. Lovecraft. And the three of them were the big three. And then H.P. Lovecraft created the Cthulhu Mythos and popularized cosmic horror and sort of codified it too with the Cthulhu Mythos, like we call it Cthulhu and that sort of stuff, right? So you can check that out too. And so he was definitely a big name then, and that sort of a thing with the big three. But those three are remembered more because of either what they did to their genres, popularizing them and codifying them too, in the case of Conan or the Cthulhu Mythos, or because of how strong their fan base started today, right? And that sort of stuff, right? And their contributions to this thing. People still read Conan stuff like comics or stuff like that. They're his things. People still write Cthulhu Mythos stuff too today. They're more enduring. But Clark Ashton Smith was, I think, a better writer than the other two was. He had an eidetic memory. He read all that stuff when he was a kid and that sort of thing. And he kept in your eidetic memory. He read dictionaries when he was a kid and that sort of thing. His writing style is definitely different. It takes a little bit of time to get adjusted to, but it's hugely strong stuff. And that sort of a thing. And I think he was the better world builder of the three of them. While those might have been the better hero crafters and horror people with cosmic style stuff, he was the better world crafter to my mind, and many of his things influenced early Dungeons and Dragons like Castle Amber, that came heavily from his work, literally, or the Seven Gaseouses, which heavily influenced it too. All right, so check that out too. All right, but there you are. And so this short story, the Ghost of Mohammed Din, is set in India and that sort of thing. This is a ghost story and set in it and that sort of thing. It's written more like a horror too. It's definitely so. Basically, the idea here is, and I read this online for free on eldritchdark.com, which I'll link you to in the comments below. But I read like 25 minutes or half an hour. But basically, our main character just doesn't believe in ghosts or like that. He's got a friend that does. And he's like, why? I don't believe that at all. Why would you think that? He's like, because I stayed the night in this house. Well, I tried to stay the night there. I had to leave. This house is haunted by the ghost of Mohammed Din. And that sort of thing. He's a guy who died there a couple of years ago. We'll get this backstory. And he's like, I would pay you 100 rupees, right? I think it might be 1,000 rupees, I'm not sure. But it's going to pay you a lot of money if you can stay the night there and that sort of a thing, because it is real. Everybody who's been there admits that. And that sort of thing. So he'll go, then we'll figure it out. And that sort of thing. What actually happens, he'll actually find out the story of Mohammed Din too, and that sort of stuff. So you'll actually get a conclusion to it. Now, a couple of things here. Clark Ashton Smith is known for his Clark Ashton Smith-ish endings. And that sort of thing, come out of left field, that turn it into a very dark situation, and that sort of thing. But this case, because of how new it was, he didn't even try, right? It's just the normal ending, and that sort of thing, because of how young he was when he wrote and published this in 1910, which was been a long time ago, right? Dude lived a long life. Right, and then also he published, right, so I don't think that the ending is really that strong as a result. There's not really this just traditional ending like the Seven Gaseouses has that I would give a 10 out of 10 to every day of the week, and his ending is in classic too. They also heavily influenced Dungeons & Dragons too, I would argue. But yeah, so yeah, I think that his stuff tends to have that. He doesn't have it here. It's well written early on in his career. I didn't say to it when I looked it up on the map. I said, when was this published? Right? I didn't look up it yet. Right? I didn't care. I thought it was fun. That sort of thing. But again, without the great ending, it's not the longest short story in the world. There's a little more background and description than you would probably want from a shorter short story, right? And that sort of thing. So I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. For your folks, but your mileage may totally vary, right? It could be more, it could be less, and that sort of thing. But I think it's fine. But I'm coming between a 7.5. I'm going to round it up rather than rounding it down because I don't do 7.75s and that sort of stuff. But your mileage, again, may vary. You might think it's worse, you might think it's better, whatever. Well, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below for this short story. Please let me know. As a reminder, I'm not a trained critic, right? I'm a literary critic. I didn't study English in college and that stuff. I work in higher ed and I taught political science and I worked in residence life, right? I've never been in the side of that, right? So as a result, that means your opinion is going to be just as valid as mine is. I'm just a fan, right? Just like you. So let me know what your thoughts are. That's why I do this stuff. Right? And sort of engage you with that further. Alrighty, so there you are. I try to do 3 of these reviews of these older things in the 3 genres that this covers: the horror, science fiction, and fantasy, and that sort of a thing. He does a lot of that stuff. He's definitely known as a master, particularly of fantasy. And then you can also check those out too. I do some stuff like that. I also do video games on Wednesday. I do serials on Serial Saturday, where I do older things in the forgotten storytelling genres that I might have forgotten about, in the passion for the new stuff also happening right around here in the pulp-era that he was writing and stuff. Big into like Zora's or Flash Gordon, or the first 2 seasons of Doctor Who from the 60s too. Right, so check that out too. I also do older video game. I'm not so Dungeons and Dragons or stuff like his or BattleTech war games and that sort of thing too on Monday. So check those out. And if those 7 older reviews a week sound like your cup of tea, then great. Welcome to the channel. Have a seat and please enjoy your time here. And take off your shoes too while you're here. Alright, so there you are. And while you're here, why not do all of the YouTube stuff, like hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon to be notified of those 7 videos, and then also share. Instantly share and watch. Those are the cute ways to go to the channel. Alright, so there you are. And thanks for so much. Alright, and so as you can tell from the 7 things, it's even where the title of this channel comes from, too, and the passion to it. Right, so the worst thing about new books is a quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old stuff. Right, and it's definitely some older stuff we might have forgotten about, and our passion for the new novel, the new video game, the new movie. Right, but these things are standing on the shoulders of giants and are heavily influenced by them. Right, not that they're bad. Right, but let's check out those giants too. Right, so there you are. Alright, so if you just made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you so very, very much for just taking some time out of your day and investing in watching my videos, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions too, right? So the fact you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate that so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.